Hello, people of planet Earth. Good to see you. Hello, Hayes. Oh, it's my friend Hayes from Tennessee.
Anyways,
Hello, Hayes. Hello, everyone. So, hey guys, Chris and Asaf over there in the Middle East, the Asian continent. I'm over here in North America, in the US. Every week, we're looking at the phenomenon of our world through the lens. You got a kick out of that, Asaf, that you're over there in Asia and I'm here in North America. Every week, we're looking at the phenomenon of this world through the lens of the wisdom of Kabbalah, as we are doing our best to learn it from our teacher, the Kabbalist Michael Lightman. He received it from his teacher, the Rabash, who received it from his teacher, Bala Sulam, in an unbroken chain for thousands of years. And we are these three little people at the end, not physically little, but spiritually little people at the end of a very
I
long chain
mean, also physically, it's not like you know,
of roots and branches.
we
So
don't
we're
occupy that much space.
at
This-
the end of this very long and exalted chain of Kabbalists. We're going to talk a little bit more about who we are in the last generation now and what our role is. But here we are at the end somehow with this role in this unbroken chain for thousands of years to reveal the wisdom of Kabbalah in our lifetimes. So recently, maybe 2 weeks ago or so, we answered questions that you sent us in the chat. We got a feeling for what's on your mind, everything from perception of reality, suffering, world peace, lots of questions, and hopefully we'll be able to do that more. There's just endless avenues and routes to take there. This week, our approach is different. We want to go through a primer of a few of the foundational pillars in the wisdom of Kabbalah. And these insights that we're going to cover today are going to help you walk through the world and understand more clearly what are the forces that are operating in reality. Where is that elusive, hidden door to the upper world? Because it turns out it's totally concealed and it's not where we think it is. And it's not concealed because it's hiding from you. This was the case in previous generations. In previous generations, it was being hidden from you, from everyone. The wisdom was specifically hidden from people, and
Mhm.
also for good reason. You could be a diligent student. You can search. You could wander from village to village. You can get on a boat and cross the sea looking for a teacher, looking maybe for that book of Zohar, looking for some sage who can you could sit at his feet, and he would hide. Those books were hidden and those teachers were hidden. It was very, very different way that things were
I,
organized. And
I'm a little envious of those times. I mean, maybe not the Kabbalistic search times, but I don't know. I'm thinking of there's all
I
kinds of
do have,
examples.
I do know
You know,
what you mean. Yeah, yeah, yeah.
right?
I do. Something about the um, uh, simplicity of in when you
Yeah,
think about living in the past and yearning for spirituality, it always feels like but of course it's an illusion, because
it feels
every
romantic, but
it feels
it was
romantic, it feels
excruciatingly
exactly.
painful though
right.
to know that
Plus,
there's answers and you don't know where
yeah.
they are and you can't get to them, and it's like love lost every day. It's like,
Plus,
you
every
saw her for one.
generation is like, it's like a new level of development of the souls, and what you get in the time where you live is exactly what you need for your development. So I mean, it's so we
No,
were there at some point, somehow, in a different life cycle.
no, but
Well,
even then, it wasn't even like maybe looking for spirituality. Is like I have to go. Like those who came to Ellis Island or whatever, like I have to find my new life. Like for them, that was like the peak. That was spiritual. That was like, yeah,
Hmm.
they're not thinking spirituality, but they're thinking like this is the most fulfilling thing that I could possibly find in my life. You go out on an adventure, like on your journey, you pack your bags. You're like completely focused on this very material goal. That's what I'm saying is also kind of gone. It's
mhm.
like to think about
Right,
that. It's
you
like
actually
it's
have
so
to like
easy to
trek. You have
embark.
to like get on
Right.
a boat. You have to like save some, uh, what are they called? Old coins. You have to save some old coins and get on a boat and cross the sea and find this
Right.
teacher, climb a mountain, right? Alternatively, I was Kopek, that's the word I was thinking. Alternatively, in our days, every person, even the worst criminal, can get a free PDF on our website of the Zohar.
Recommended, even.
We recommend
Yeah.
every
Good
criminal
point.
and everyone who's
Good
not a
point.
criminal to download a free PDF of the Zohar
We
from our
should
website.
add a,
We're extremely
like you're not a robot type of thing. Are you a criminal? But yeah, then actually,
doesn't matter.
yeah, it doesn't matter. Good.
Bring him in. Get him
So
in here.
right, so it's very unique. The Kabbalists call this period that we've entered now as the last generation, when the wisdom is actually revealed to everyone for the taking, and no one wants it. You see how this like pyramid is flipped on its head from how it was before? Before people really wanted it and they couldn't find it. And today anyone can find it if you Google it and no one
Yeah.
wants. Almost nobody
Good
wants
point.
it.
Good point.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Okay. So now with these unique conditions, when everything is physically revealed, okay, everybody can find it on Google or ChatGPT. Our work now is to reveal the hidden world, meaning the world of it's not just now to find the teacher and find the books, because those things can be found now, but even if you find the teacher and you listen to the teacher or you open the book and you read the book, it turns out there's an invisible world where the Kabbalists are working, where the authors are working, where these books are working. The book is not actually a book, it's a spiritual machine. There's a world of meaning and eternality that's in an invisible place. So, friends,
Prove it.
that's what we're going to do now, friends. Our goal now is to take some of the more obvious tools that we have and put them on the table. Let's see what's in our hands. Let's start with the simple stuff. What do we know? And what is hidden? What let's see what we have, and then let's point from there to the hidden world. I want to give a really simple anecdote from this world, and I'm hoping that this is going to help open up the spiritual, be like an analog to a spiritual example.
Okay.
All right.
A hundred years ago, there was a race to see who can get an airplane to fly. And so the problem is gravity, an invisible force that's pushing everything down.
Apparently, they're
So-
still having problems with that. That
But-
too soon.
The common thought at the time was we need to build a motor that is stronger than gravity. We just need to counteract gravity with, if gravity's pushing down at a force of 50, we need to push up with a force of at least 51. You know, we just need to be stronger than gravity in the opposite direction. But the guys who actually figured out how to get a plane off the ground, they were studying birds' wings and how they tilted and turned their wings. Now, if you stick your hand outside the car and you turn your hand like this, what happens is you're slowing down the speed of the air. The air is hitting here. So it's slower underneath than it is passing over.
Sure.
Okay? So what that does is it creates something called lift. So for a plane to take flight, the air flying over the top has to be going faster than the air going below. And you get this phenomenon that we all know from sitting in the backseat of our parents' car when we were kids, or now when you do this with your hands. So now the plane just needs to create more lift than the gravity pulling it down. So what was obvious wasn't the truth that was needed to get this plane off the ground. You need to work with gravity, but you need to take the time to understand the hidden part that people weren't looking at. And once you get lift, you can fly. So, guys, we want to look at the
and it's such a
hidden
cool
world.
thing. It's such a cool thing too. Let's take a moment to appreciate it. How like the same laws of nature that essentially pull you down, if you learn how to use them correctly, you can take a whole, something equivalent to a small building up up to the sky. And it's like
747 almost weighs a million pounds.
right.
The
Wow.
yeah,
It's huge.
huge.
Yeah, and
Yeah.
it's pretty crazy. Yeah.
Right.
But
So
we're
what we
not
want.
changing any laws here. That's the beautiful thing. Like the laws of nature are the same laws of nature, and gravity is the same gravity, and all the physical constants are the same physical constants. What did the human learn to do? Basically, just change your device to use the same laws in a different way. That's essentially, you create a sensor that sort of feels nature differently, that extracts a different phenomenon out of the same immutable unchanging laws. That is such a, it's such an amazing thing if you think about it. Yeah, anyway.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So
Okay.
first of all, we have to understand what are the forces. That's also not obvious to everybody. Let's talk about the ratzon lekabel, the desire to receive, that the Kabbalists talk about as the thing that was created, the one creation in all of reality. Let's start with by putting that on the table. What is that thing? And then the next thing is the people who want to reach holiness throughout the thousands of years of civilization. Most of the time, what we find is them fighting against it, right? Fighting against their sexual urge, fighting against,
Mm.
we don't eat that food. We don't eat this food on those dates, or meaning on that time of the year. We don't look at those things. We don't think about those things. Everything is fighting against gravity. We need to somehow figure out how to get lift off the gravity. So first things first, let's talk about what is the gravity, what is that main force that the Kabbalists talk about that is just like gravity in our world. Now let's talk about in our inner world, what is that gravity? What is that thing that's always pulling down, always
Mm.
pulling into the middle of me? And then let's talk about how to use it to get some lift and find out how to fly, find out how to enter into this other place. So the title of our show is The Hidden World of the Kabbalists, Spiritual Work and Concealment. There's
Mm-hmm.
many places we can go. I'm not exactly sure where this is going to go. And
Okay.
friends, we are looking at your Kevin in Ireland, always with his jokes. Kevin, we see you there. Um, if you have questions about what we're talking about, so ask, or comments about it, we'll open it up. First things first, guys, the hidden world of the Kabbalists. Let's just talk about the hidden force, the
Okay.
first foundational force that's operating everyone. If you've been in the wisdom of Kabbalah for a while with, studying the method of Bala Sulam, you've already heard this a few times. If you haven't, it seems very clear once you hear it, but somehow you made it through 50 years of your life without even noticing it operating all around you. So guys, let's begin to open this up slowly, and hopefully let's end up somehow with a spiritual work and concealment if we can get there.
If we can get there.
If we
No,
can
because
get there.
you said slowly. I would say first, if we're going slow, first let's just maybe start from the misconception. I mean, when you think about spirituality, spiritual people, most people, Kabbalah, they hear Kabbalah, it probably sits in their brain as something that is akin to mysticism. So Kabbalists are some sort of mystics, and and what does that even mean? And then people think about some sort of, I don't know, I guess some flavor of a magician, and that is like, okay, maybe you believe it, maybe not, but that like immediately, for the rational, material, normal person who never actually looked into what spiritual development actually means and what Kabbalah actually means, Kabbalists are probably considered some sort of magicians, and I mean the first. This is the first misconception I would say that we have to shatter. That that's not at all what Kabbalah is about or what Kabbalists are about. We talked about laws of nature, and Kabbalists are very much like scientists. studying the laws of nature, but the kinds of laws that you can only study when you carefully examine your inner world. And if you're only focused on the outer world, you just don't see these laws of nature. You just don't see them. They're there. They're hidden in plain sight. But if you don't try to delve into that layer beneath the surface, beyond the five senses, the layer that goes into your heart, into your mind, your desires, emotions, intentions, thoughts, that's the level where there are laws of nature as well. And most humans just, we sure, we have some psychology, we have some sociology, let's say, that kind of, but still those in most cases examine the effects of. You can say that actually Kabbalists appreciate material psychology, like that portion of psychology which actually investigates the drives, the driving, the motives of the human being, because that actually takes us closer to investigating the inner world of the person. And Baal Sulam, the great Kabbalist, writes about this, that that's a good thing for human development, that this kind of strain of, let's say, of psychology has developed in humanity. Unlike philosophy, which went into a direction of just philosophizing about things without actually clothing them in anything real. So Kabbalists are like scientists. They're not like, they're studying the laws of nature. They're not stage illusionists, that are like
Let's start
creating
with
all
that
kinds of-
first main law. The first,
Right.
in
So
the beginning, what was created?
yeah. So you wanted to talk about the will to receive, ratzon lekabel in Hebrew, right? So that's the very, like, that's lesson number one in Kabbalah, right? So everything
So
that
why?
we
Why would that be? Why would this be? What's the purpose of this? First, let's explain what it means that it is the only thing that was ever created in a field of endless white light, which is eternity, which is no time and no space. What is the thing that was created, and why would such a thing need to be created? Let's start with the most foundational tool that we need to install on our hardware here in order to begin to process the data of this world and understand what's happening and where we are.
But wait a second. Before you go back, a person should feel also right now how that applies to them, which is basically saying, "What am I?" That's why it's Kabbalah lesson number one. What am I even? A person could walk around 70 years in this life and not even know the answer to that question. So here, if you're already giving the reason, from why was it even created? First of all, feel that question within yourself. Maybe there is a question. Maybe you haven't answered that question. Maybe you never asked that question. What am I? And then you can start to research. Okay, this is where I came from.
Okay. Yeah. Well, I mean, what am I is really the question. But what? So okay, let's just make it, kind of put it on the table, and then we'll see where we want to take it. So Kabbalists found that the driving force, let's say, that of all of creation, not just us humans, but the matter of creation, the thing that stands at the foundation of anything that exists, is a desire to receive. And that's like the gravity that we can never come out of. That's like the paradigm that all of creation exists in.
Why would creation need to be a desire to receive? Also, a
Because-
desire to receive what?
Yeah. So
And then why?
I would say, that's actually great if we go this fundamental, because the desire to receive what? I would even just say just to receive. What could be anything, but
Well, let's
just
say that
just the fact.
the thought of creation is the desire to receive endless pleasure, delight in pleasure.
Endless pleasure, I would say it's already how, something that comes in later. It's like an additional detail. It's more detail that the Kabbalists give us. But basically, you are a force of reception.
But why?
And everything is a force of reception. Why? Because that force of reception was created by the opposite force of giving, of bestowing,
Why?
of and so in order for that endless light, this endless abundance, this force of giving to be perceived, it has to be it has to come into some vessel, as we call it in Kabbalah. And the vessel has to be of the opposite nature, the exact opposite, the complete opposite. And so these two, the light, the will to bestow, that is the primordial force in reality, the initial force that, as far as we know, created everything that we call creation. And we never actually get to, Kabbalists write about this too, that we shouldn't delude ourselves that we can directly attain the essence of that force. When we say will to bestow, that's how the Kabbalist understands the force behind creation. That's still through our perception. And so that will to bestow, the light, and the will to receive, the vessel, these are the only two components, the fundamental components that exist in reality. Everything that exists, whether it's planets or particles or animals and vegetation, flora and fauna of all the different kinds, all the huge diversity of nature, things we see and things we don't see, forces that physicists think of as dark matter or dark energy, things we're not even sure that they actually exist. Everything is some kind of a combination, a manifestation of the relationship between the light and the vessel. And that, even just that, we can go and we can discuss this for hours and hours, but that is a very, very fundamental reality that Kabbalists have discovered, that, and it doesn't change anything. It doesn't mean that our laws of physics and everything that we are familiar with in the material world doesn't exist. It just means that we're now getting to see, we're peeking into what's behind the curtain, what stands at the basis of all of this.
You can kind of see that though, even when you look at nature. Let's say you watch some nature shows, and you have this new perspective of observing the behaviors of animals. You can't really observe the behaviors of plants, although we're kind of getting into that too sometimes with scientists. But you observe this behavior of animals, and it's like you can kind of see how they're just little engines, kind of going. Someone kind of turned them on, and they don't get turned off until they die. You can kind of talk about a little bit of you could ask, are they choosing to go in the hole? Are they making the wrong decision? But that actually doesn't even really matter with that perspective, because you're just watching this kind of this little meat body that receives some life force go out and do something that it needs to do. You can kind of also see that too when you get the zoom out perspective. I remember being up on my dad's. My dad used to work in a really high building when he was working, and I would look over. It's the 72nd floor in Houston. I would look down and really, that's really high. 70. I don't know if you've ever been on up that high. Maybe Seth has. He's close to New York. 72 floors is really high, so you see kind of the world a little bit differently, and you can kind of see when people get in their cars and they drive, you're kind of just seeing that same kind of motor, that little engine that's just kind of running, not the cars itself, but the people that are kind of animated by this. You just see it, whenever you talk about this desire is the driving force of reality. You can kind of feel that and see that when you look at when you see the traffic, when you see these people are trying to get there and those people are trying to get there. It's just this kind of movement. It seems very mechanical. You kind of zoom out of the humanity of it, and you look at just kind of the movement of human. Also, whenever you see the planes, you see those visualizations of the air traffic over 24 hours, and you can see the sky with the lines, and you just kind of see that there's movement There's like something is causing
It almost looks
these
like ants, like when you see ants leave
right.
the ant, like leave the hole and then go collect stuff and come back. When you
Yeah.
watch people from afar,
Yeah.
it look like they all go into the city and then like leave, right?
Right. Yeah. Exactly the same thing. So it kind of gives you like we're not really good at looking at ourselves when you're
From
talking about
outside, yeah.
desire, but then you can sometimes get a little bit of a view of how it is kind of like happening from the side. That's what I was trying to say.
Yeah, yeah.
Let's
There's something really cool about watching time lapse footage, or even when you think about this phenomenon that happens for astronauts when they go out of to outer space. There's this overview effect. There's something in changing your perspective. The more you zoom out, it's like the bigger your perspective becomes. On the other hand, a Kabbalist doesn't achieve this higher vantage point through looking at visuals, going outside away from something and seeing, zooming out physically, but rather you're able to sort of zoom out of your own nature because you're identifying the patterns that drive how you operate, how you think, how you feel. I think this is something that
Yeah.
happens to people pretty much in the beginning, early on, when they begin to study the wisdom and begin to kind of see it through themselves and then through others, and they begin to sort of see these manifestations of the will to receive, how it operates them, how it guides and dictates what we think, do, and feel. And in a way, you become kind of a spectator, an observer on your own life. A little bit, it feels a little bit like you're getting a peek from the director's seat on your own movie
so
rather
tool number
than
one.
being in it. Yeah.
Right.
Tool number one, X-ray glasses. You're putting on your X-ray glass. You came to the show today. We're giving everyone some X-ray glasses. You now can perceive behind everyone's actions this will to receive. Can you guys talk about that for a minute? That now anyone who's here, we can leave this when our time together is over. They can go out into life and they can show them a little bit how to begin to see this force operating behind everything they see around them. And then
Right.
after that, after we've established that, then let's say that's the gravity. If we want to fly and get out of this suffering and this torment that we all are in this world, so we can't fight against the gravity. Somehow we need to use it to lift. So let's call the will to receive gravity in this example here. Guys, give everybody the 3D glasses so they can see the force, so they can start to at least begin to feel what's operating everything around them. How can they identify it? What are
Well,
they
first of
looking
all,
for?
you meant and now that you're saying that, it makes me kind of think of it a little bit differently. You don't look at gravity as like your enemy. Initially, you're looking at it as like just a given. It's a fact. It exists. This is what it is. This is life. There's no changing it. You're not mad at gravity. On the other hand, when a person's trying to like figure out who they are, where they are, what's my purpose, it feels more like like there's kind of like this not that not from the side of nature where it's like just causing malice or like because what is a person upset with at the end of the day? They feel bad. So feeling bad automatically puts you in a state of like you have like this, you're upset, you have like this enemy. And if you contrast that with how Seth has kind of framed this whole idea of gravity, then the Wright brothers didn't see gravity as like this enemy. So I think we kind of need to level it off a little bit and have the approach of will to receive. It's a fact. Whatever I feel, whether it's good or whether it's bad, this is exactly what's given to me. So how do I use what's given to me, this gravity? This is the nature that I was given. This is kind of like baseline. How do I use that to lift up?
Okay, I think, Chris, I think you're going a little fast only because we have some people here like either his name is Joan Atlas or John Atlas or Jonah Tlass. I'm not sure. It's from last week.
Right.
But
Do the
we
same
have
thing.
some people here who I'm just starting to see. They're new. Misha is here from Portugal. I'm not sure that everyone here is already familiar with the method of Bala Sulam. Let's explain how to identify this will to receive, how this gravity that's operating everything in our world. Then let's talk about how to fly.
Right. So
And if you
you
could
so you
do it
need
in the
Good.
next 10 minutes, that'd be great.
So you need to think about, you need to start thinking about what's your motive, what's your intention, why are you doing the thing that you're doing, why do you have any thought that you have, why do you wake up in the morning to why do you choose this or that food to eat to why do you make this or that decision, and essentially, if you learn about your nature and you begin to ask these questions, even take just one day, and from dawn to dusk, basically just ask yourself, why am I doing this? And you'll see very simply that it'll just become more and more apparent to you that you're looking to be fulfilled. You're looking to receive some sort of pleasure, some sort of a good feeling. It can be clothed in food or sex or honor or power or money. I want to look good in someone's eyes. I want to just feel nicer with myself. I need to like drink something, eat something, feel good in my belly, feel good somewhere. That's what we are. We are a desire to feel good. It's really, really that simple. But then it goes deeper than that. When you start understanding how deep and how fundamental that force is, you like Chris, I think, wanted to really point out, you start seeing it as the force of nature that drives all of creation. It's not good or bad. It's not, oh, I'm such a bad, I don't know,
Right?
person.
If I'm so gluttonous about food, I'm bad. Or I'm
Yeah.
gluttonous about this, I'm
Yeah,
bad.
that's the
Yeah.
Kabbalists don't look at that as like this is all ethics or morality on an earthly level. We go deeper, or we zoom out, we just understand that this is how people are motivated. Again, think about that, zooming out and seeing the time lapse. So from a spiritual perspective, if you zoom out and see the driving forces, everyone is just operated by a desire to feel better, to be fulfilled. And actually, all of nature is a desire to be fulfilled. It's just that it has different levels of development. The still level of nature just wants to preserve itself. And it appears to us like it's the inanimate level. But what do you mean inanimate? Nothing is really still or inanimate. There's a whole life in subatomic particles that physicists are researching, and there's an entire dynamic inside every object that keeps this object as it is. There's a lot of movement inside. There's a whole life, but the aspiration of the inanimate particles of the still level of reality is just to preserve itself, and we call that a desire to receive on the first level of coarseness, if you want to talk Kabbalistic terminology, right? Then I'm not going to go into a lot of details about the other levels, but then you have a more developed desire to receive fulfillment, and that's the vegetative level. And you have an even greater desire, and that's the animate level. And the human level is the most sophisticated, greatest desire of an evolved desire to receive that exists in creation. That's
So
also what, yeah.
when when you go from the inanimate level, like a cup, to the vegetative level, right, to the vegetable kingdom, to the animate, the vegetative level. Then you go to the animal kingdom level. Then you go to the human level. With my eyes, I can really see a difference. I can see a difference
Yeah.
between this and a sunflower, and between a sunflower and a lion, and between a lion and a
Yeah.
person, or even a chimpanzee and a person, right? But the Kabbalist, if you're looking at the Rabash and some other rabbi
Person.
sitting next to him,
Yeah.
you would never, even if they're wearing the same
Won't see
curls and the same
anything.
hat,
Yeah.
you can't see that he's flying in
No.
spiritual worlds.
But that's what makes it
Can't see
more
it. Yeah.
real. You know?
Well, that's that. Okay, so yeah,
Right.
How do we, so let's talk about that, because what happened now is, now once we get to these higher levels, it's not anymore a material thing. There's all these movements, like, okay, will to receive, I get it. Just like gravity, it's invisible, but I can definitely, like it's definitely something I can work with, and if I use it right, things can happen. Will to receive, also, I get it. It was an invisible force when the show started. Not everyone here knew to identify it. Now you know everything in reality is operating by this force. How to receive. What is going on with a person who looks like other people? I
Right.
can't see any difference in him, because I was expecting, when you go from a normal person to a Kabbalist or a spiritual person, I don't know, some halo appears or some kind of physical change.
But
And
but,
when
but
you're,
that's on it's a great point. Now that I can connect the dots. If it was so obvious to me that there was something special, then that nature in me that only wants to feel good and only wants to receive something would immediately just see this nice trophy that it wants to have too.
and what's the
Basically,
problem
what
with that?
Seth wants us to try to get into what is it that happens there that no one sees, right? In a in
And why
a
does it have to happen there?
right,
Why are they
right,
working in concealment? Why
right.
can't
Because
they just come out? And even if it's expensive, we all
hmm
realize, you know what? It's even more valuable than a car, and I'm willing to save up because I'm going to buy my ticket to eternity. Like everybody would be lined up to get it. Now
Right.
there's no line out the door, but it's free. So like, what is it? Where is it?
so there's
How?
so there's a deeper let's I think that's where Seth wants us to go. So there's an even deeper layer we call spirituality that you just can't see in your five senses. And that level, let's call it the level of intentions. And intentions are, let's say, ways in which you can use your will to receive. You don't directly try to like freeze it or go against it, or I want to eat something, I don't eat it, or I want to do something and that's not the level we're talking about. We're talking about an even deeper motive, an even deeper purpose to the existence of the will to receive. So a Kabbalist drills down into that level of existence, and at that level of intentions they try to operate their will to receive with a new purpose. And that's called the intentional level of reality. Intentionality, let's say, spirituality. No one can see it. And the simple example that Kabbalists give us is that even intentions, simple intentions in our world that we know human beings have, can't necessarily be seen. You can look at a person with a knife, and if you, it could be like that the person is reaching another person's flesh, and is going to cut that flesh. But it could be a murderer, it could be a doctor, a surgeon. So you could be, for the purpose, could be saving someone's life or taking someone's life. So of course, take away the what the person wears and whether it's happening in a hospital or not, but it could be this person or that person, and you won't know. The if you're just, because intentions are invisible, and
So
so
what
and that's
makes
just
the
our
so
that's
what
just on
makes
our level. Yeah.
so what makes the Kabbalist something? If you can't see it with your eyes, what is he doing, and why is it known to other Kabbalists? Because you could say, like, some stockbroker, knows things that he's not telling everybody. He knows some stock trade things, and he's making tons of money, and he doesn't want anyone to know. And fine, that's his hidden world.
hmm
So what is it that the Kabbalist knows that is?
that's now a much more in-depth discussion, but our inner worlds are also connected. And that's something that we also don't. Why are they connected? Because there are no many people there is really just one reality, one creation, and that takes us deep into, you know, that's a trip into perception of reality
You
land.
can leave. You
I
can
don't know
you
if you
can
want to
leave that
go
on the
there.
table, and that's
Yeah,
it.
we can leave
Yeah,
it
you
on
can
the
just keep it.
table. Yeah, exactly. Especially looking at our time for the show.
The
um,
intent, the intentions, the talk about intentions is interesting. We should talk about that next
Why does
show.
it? Let's
yeah. Let's
try
keep
and
it at an
touch on this for a minute.
understandable
Let's
level.
go over
Yeah,
time.
okay. A little bit,
Why
yeah.
does the Kabbalist
Couple
need to
minutes.
work in concealment?
First of all, there is no other way. The world of intention is just unseen, and that's the work of the Kabbalah. That's where that's the realm where, where the Kabbalist operates. And that's a big problem because, a lot of people, sometimes even beginner students who start studying with us, and they, maybe they would have an inclination to change the world, make the world a better place. It varies. Some people, different people come to study Kabbalah. But sometimes I've heard this from beginner students many times. That it's like, yeah, but what are we doing to, like, make the world a better place? What are, are we going to, like, help, like, create, I don't know, new nonprofits to distribute food, or to go and change things in politics and so on? And it's actually very rare that Kabbalists also see opportunities to do things in this world. It's not completely that it doesn't happen. It does happen. And, you can look at examples of Barasulam and our teacher, and, and his teacher less in that time. But there was a lot of attempt. There were some attempts to do certain things, even to talk to leaders, or to start educational programs, or to do other things. But that's just like an extension. That's an additional kind of result. The real work is deep in the hidden world. Why? Because the deeper you go into the hidden world of intentions, you discover that's what shapes reality. That's the causal level of reality.
Okay, hold on.
That's the thing that creates later everything we experience in our five senses, including wars and people and conflicts and problems and suffering. It all comes from this imbalance on the intentional level.
We have
And
the
that,
we
yeah.
we laid out the will to receive at the beginning, and everyone now you leave our hour together, and you have this new set of glasses. You see that every creature is operating on this desire to receive for themselves. Think about it, write it down. Don't believe us. Test it on yourself. Just see behind everything that's happening. I'm trying to receive for myself. If you discover that you think that we're bullshitting you, come next week, tell us why. Tell us what you found.
Yeah,
Write it
sure.
there. Let's talk about it. Okay. So now that we understand that all of reality is trying to receive, and we understand that the Kabbalists reached a degree of love which is not receiving for themselves, and this is completely on an invisible degree. What's revealed to everyone is, I need for myself. Right?
Yeah.
Even in this world, when we see someone who's giving something in this world, they're giving because they're going to get something back, whether that's going to be honor, whether it's going to be pay, whether it's going to be something. Right?
Yeah.
So the spiritual work, what is the spiritual work?
Wow, there's so many
It's
ways
it's
to
in
approach
concealment,
this.
right? It's not something that's something that we're going to see with our eyes. That's first of all we have to understand. So what is it?
You're provoking me.
But now you're already.
'Cause-
First of all, I don't know how you're asking a question at such a time. But but
Yeah.
second of all, you're talking about something that you're talking about exiting everything that I know that I am, everything that I identify with, everything that I currently can feel and perceive, and asking me to step outside of that and do something completely different. I have no feeling in that place that you're talking about. I have no sensation.
That's
Well,
fine, because right now we're trying to get the plane off the ground, and we thought we had to fight gravity. If we at least now are starting to watch the birds, then we don't need to
Mm-hmm.
solve it yet, but we're already
Okay,
on the path.
that's the level we should stay at. Maybe and maybe leave our viewers with that. So, the the real spiritual work is not about what you do with your hands and legs. It's about correcting your soul. It's about calibrating your innermost vessel that perceives reality. And right now we're just watching the birds, right? We're learning, trying to learn the wings of the birds and how they fly, right? So the Kabbalist starts, I would say, reading the Creator's language. So you know how if you go to a foreign country, you hear stuff, but it's all just chaotic noise to you if you don't understand the language and you don't understand the signposts and you kind of don't know where you are exactly, and you need to use your phone to kind of understand how I'm supposed to go this way, that way. And everything, there's a whole happening around you. People are talking and walking and going places and so on, and you're not catching exactly what's going on because you don't know the language. When you start to understand how your will to receive operates, and you go into that level of starting to look for why is it operated, how it's operated, and who operates it, and what for, you're beginning to try to read nature's language and what it wants from you. And that's a deep dialogue that you're developing that has no words even. The Kabbalists try to give it words, and that's why they write all kinds of work articles for us about the inner work of the person. But ultimately, it's just to help us start that inner dialogue that is more emotional than verbal. And that's where it gets tough to explain anything. But people who study with us, they go through some emotional development, emotional roller coaster. Even sometimes they go through this kind of feeling. We said lift, right? So you begin to feel. We call it ups and downs in the work, in the spiritual work, or ascents and descents, or ins and outs. We begin to feel the sort of feeling a little bit of the vibration of the Creator's language with us, and suddenly it becomes clearer to you why things happen to you a little bit. You feel a little bit like in the director's seat on your life. You feel a little bit like you understand what nature wants from you, and then it disappears. And then you move, you try to refocus your vision again, and then you forget about it, and then again. And that's the dialogue. That is the dialogue, and that everyone who practices Kabbalah tries to develop, and that's the dialogue that Kabbalists on high levels of spiritual attainment are very deep inside. And from there, they learn about the structure, the deeper structure of reality. From there, from that dialogue, they learn about the whole ladder of spiritual degrees. From there, they can examine their will to receive as if from the outside and say, hey, it has 4 levels of development, and everything that happens to us always happens through these 4 levels. And these 4 levels, they give all kinds of names to them, and they break them down into 5 or into 10. It depends on what they're trying to examine, but they're studying the nature of creation and the creative force that created it, and how it wants to develop it to understand its language. And that's what Kabbalah is really about.
John Atlas says it takes so much time to spread such a language. There's so much resistance and concealment.
That's how it appears to us, for sure. On the other hand, reality itself is above time and above space, and the complete state already exists. We just need to.
Yeah, I think the next part of the conversation is
Yeah.
to how do we learn to focus on. No, he's right. It does take.
Yeah. For
In
sure.
our perception, it takes a lot of time.
Yeah.
We're really demanding that it should be happening already.
Mm-hmm.
I think
It's
we should
it's
turn
another
to nature.
guardrail. It's another guardrail for us too, though, if you want to look at it like that.
Time is a huge thing. You're opening time now? Seriously? Like we don't have. We're
Well,
out of time.
I was thinking we're out of time and we need endless time. Let's
To
talk
discuss
just for a
time.
minute. Where does this need to go? Where does this? What's the next natural step in this conversation? We're not going to do it today,
Maybe.
but what would be the next?
So maybe our viewers, our friends, tell us where do you want us to take it next? Write it in whatever form you want, as a question, as a statement, as a thought. Write to us. Write it now in the chat as we hear our ending, concluding song. We'll look into it and then we'll figure it out where we're going next. How's that?
We'll figure it out together. That's great.
Yeah.
Friends, we'll see you next week, 2
right.
p.m. Eastern Standard Time.
Yeah, that's where you are.
Big hug to everybody. See you next time.
Bye, guys.